Okay, Lizzie, so you've got a blister and I think you have a race this weekend. So I would recommend if it's like a protruding blister, you can push it on it and whatnot, uh, cut it, drain it, and if it's if it's a blister that's not sticking out, then you just leave it how it is. But in either case, you cover it with a Band-Aid and cover the Band-Aid with some tape so you can still run on it this week. Um, with the tape, make sure you don't put it too tight because you have to be really mindful that when you step, your foot expands. So you can't put the tape on tight, otherwise it'll fall off because your foot's expanding while running. But you got to cover it, and you should be able to train normally with a covered blister. That should be okay. Hey Dan, so you got a little calf niggle going on, and it's good that you're only cross training. The worst thing somebody can do is try to push it a little bit and run when they're not sure if they can run. I tell people that um, it's best to choose to take some time off when you feel it rather than try to push through it, hope it gets better, which it won't. And then you end up having to be forced to take longer amounts of time off because you have a full-blown injury now. So it's good that you're going to go see a physio, I think you said, and cross training will be totally beneficial. If you do the cross training, you won't lose that much fitness. It'll be fine, and it's better to be 10% undertrained than 1% injured. So you must rest. You must give the calf time, opportunity to regenerate and heal, and then you'll be better off. Yeah, no doubt the camber can affect little things like that. For me, um, I actually often run on the right side of the road because I think it helps my ankle a little bit. Um, but I think I'm finally over the ankle issue. It was niggling a little bit after the race. But yeah, that makes a big difference. So that's a different consideration. But I bet almost all of the people that I was running around were not taking the tangents. And that's like an extra quarter to a half mile over 1326 miles. That's minutes. That's a PR. Poof, gone. Hey Jeffrey, so with fueling mid-race, intra-race during a marathon, it's super important to test out different products during your long runs. So what I usually recommend is to take in 100, 200 calories per hour. So let's go with like a 200 calorie bagel an hour before the race, a 100 calorie gel right before the race, and then 2 gels per hour for the first 3 hours or so of a marathon. Um, we'll say you're doing a 4 hour marathon, and during the last hour, you might really not feel like eating, but that's usually what I recommend. And for many of your long runs, I recommend doing exactly that, testing it out, finding what works. Oh, and drink to thirst. Hey Jacob, yeah, getting out the door is tough. It's the hardest part, but that means once you do it, you're over the hump and it's easy after that. So I always suggest that, and even with me in the winter when I don't really want to go out for a run, you got to tell yourself that it's something you want to do, and once you do it, it will be worth it and you'll be glad you started. This is empathy with your future self. So it's never going to be as bad as you think it is. And once you get started, you'll be really glad you did. And you kind of just got to be super mindful, almost forceful with yourself just to get going whenever you're not really feeling like it. That's a tough one, Devin. Yeah, getting up early is tough. I did it in college. I was up basically right when the wellness center opened to get my training in before class, and having a group is super helpful. Even having one person to meet you can be really motivating because you don't want to let that person down by skipping the morning meeting run. So yeah, it's hard, but you got to have empathy with your future self. You got to tell yourself, and you have to know mindfully that it's something you want, and once you do it, no matter how hard it is to get up or get out the door, you'll be glad you did.
Hey Fran, so you said that you are getting, where is this? You're getting bloating, and you feel bigger, and you're kind of struggling after the 10K mark, and you're not sure what's going on. So I asked you what your perceived effort was like during these runs, and you said that you were definitely out of breath, putting in the most effort at the start and the finish. So you're running too hard. Tone it down. The vast majority of your running should be at an easy conversational pace where you can recite Shakespeare comfortably. You can sing without losing too much breath. They should be effortful, but not a super easy jog, but not hard. You should not be out of breath. So tone it back, run a little easier. This will let you run more consistently, more frequently, and more enjoyably.
Hey Jenna, so with ITBS, I'll link you to my article about it. But a couple things that have helped me or athletes of mine have been the standing glute stretch, where you basically stand, put an ankle over the other knee, and kind of squat down. And it stretches the hamstring, the glute a little bit. In the past, when I had ITBS issues, I could typically run quite well, but once in a while, I'd kind of get that twinge in the knee. I would do that stretch, and then I would be totally fine for the rest of the run. So often, that's all it took was for me to just do that stretch, and then I was good to go. Um, I also had another athlete of mine who was kind of getting a little bit of that issue. And he realized that if he ran with his head looking more out down the road rather than down towards his feet closer in, if he looked up more, that changed his running posture, and that helped resolve the ITBS. And then I've told that to other people, and it's helped them a little bit too. So that your head position affects everything. So I've also read a lot of the research does suggest that glute strength or lack of could be a consideration, and I think that every day should be hip day. So you should do some form of light general strength and mobility every day to work on your strength and mobility with your glutes, hips, quads, etc.
Okay, so yeah, time and motivation. Can't do without them. Uh, I coach a lot of busy, professional adults, parents, and they get up early, they run after work, they work with their family to give them the time to execute the runs. They know that it's something they want to do, and they tell themselves this. This is empathy with your future self. You know it's something you want to do. It's you know you'll be happy and glad you did it once you do it. So the trick is you tell yourself this, and you know that once you do it, you'll be glad you did. Once you get up at 4 or 5 a.m., once you go run at 6 or 7 p.m. or 10 p.m. when the kids are in bed, it'll be worth it. And you tell yourself this, and you push yourself out the door, and then you go and you get it done, and you're glad you did.
So a few weeks ago, I had the VIP treatment at the Austin Half Marathon / Marathon, and that included a free post-race massage. And that was the first immediately post-race massage I had ever had. And I was a little concerned how it would feel, but it was awesome. Yeah, I would probably get it done again. I was totally fine. I had a pretty good race, so I wasn't cramping or anything. If I was, it probably would have been a little bit of a different story, but I waited about 30 to 45 minutes after the race. Otherwise, you could probably get one done the next day. It should be fine. So keep up active walking after the race, and you should be okay to get a massage. Hey, so if you're having trouble convincing your brain that you can go longer than a certain distance, there's only one way to convince your brain that you can go longer than that distance, and that's to do it. Uh, just slow down a little bit and take regular walk breaks depending on your fitness level, and bring some hydration if you want to, and just go into the 10, 11 distance run really relaxed, casual, and try to keep the expectations and the the worry. I'm not sure what the right word is. Try to keep all that down. Just relax and don't have any expectations. Just go into a nice, easy run, and you'll get there.
Okay, so somebody just asked me about preventing healing, fixing cramps that they're getting while running, and they were talking about hamstring cramps in particular. And really, cramps are almost always a result of overloading the muscles and or not giving them time and opportunity to heal and regenerate after this hard workout. So maybe you progressed too quickly into a hard track session, for example, and then you didn't give your body and your legs time and opportunity after this hard track session to heal, regenerate, and adapt. So cramps aren't typically caused by electrolytes or hydration issues. They are typically caused by overdoing it and or not giving your body time to heal, adapt, and regenerate afterwards. So you got to look at your training and consider this with cramps.
Hey Michelle, so my biggest motivation when I'm not really feeling like running is I call it's empathy with your future self. You know that you want to run, and you know that once you do, you'll be glad you did. So my biggest tool for kind of making myself run or tricking myself into running is to really tell myself almost forcefully that once I get going, I'll be glad I did. And you kind of gotta make yourself just go out the door. And once you get a few minutes into it, you'll probably be okay, and you'll probably be just ready to go. You'll get into the run a little bit, and the hard part is just getting out the door. But I think making it easy, it makes it easier when you really mindfully tell yourself that it's something you want, and once you start, you'll be glad you did. Hey, so if you're having difficulty getting long runs in due to other workouts, that's all you said. So I don't know exactly what other types of workouts you're doing, but I'm gonna assume you're just running, or at least you're doing some other types of aerobic work, maybe strength training as well. But the long run, and I'm gonna assume you're training for a distance event like 5, 10K, basically anything not on the track, 5, 10K, marathon, whatever. And so I'm making a lot of assumptions, but the long runs are the most important. You have to do consistent long runs to most develop as a runner. And if your other workouts, whatever they are interfering with the long run, you need to modify those other workouts. Do them less frequently. Are you doing them too hard? Are you running too hard on your easy days? Are you training too hard on your easy days? Are you doing too much strength work? The long run is super important, and you have to do them well. So look at everything else and think about how are they affecting your long run, and you might have to modify them a little bit. This is a challenge, Brandon. Brendan, it's tough when you have a physically demanding job, and you're trying to do a physically demanding sport or activity for fun. And I did construction one summer in college, and I did triathlon as well. So yeah, it was kind of tough, but maybe getting a little, modifying your training a little bit, because in a way you can consider a physically demanding job a little bit of training. It's not super specific, but it's still making, I don't know, it's still making you stronger in some way. So maybe you need to do fewer runs, fewer hard workouts, shorten your mileage a little bit. But the worst thing you can do is let it hold you back in a way that um, it bothers you. Like, don't use it as a means to put you down. What am I trying to say? You can, if it can't be helped, it can't be helped. So um, there's no use like stressing out about it. You got to do what you got to do, and you can only run as much as you can run. And I'm just trying to really explain that if that's what you have, then that's what you have, and there's no use stressing out about something you can't control. I'm not sure if you're doing that, but I really wanted to put that out because sometimes people, they stress out about what they can't manage. But if that's your job and it's physically demanding, then it's better than it's probably better than it being a desk job, and you don't want to get secretary butt. Okay, so a pre-half marathon routine. This is a loaded question, probably a long answer, longer than I can do here. But the week before, I don't change much with my diet. Carb loading isn't really essential for a half marathon. Um, I lower my volume of easy running by a quarter to half, but I keep my higher intensity running up. So I remain fairly neuromuscularly sharp, but my volume is lower, so I can kind of peak and uh, still keep recovering from the long training. But we're still doing a few harder sessions to stay sharp. Um, I run the day before, usually a 30-minute easy run with strides. Um, I typically don't eat much the day before a half or any race, half, full, 10K, just so I don't go to the race the next morning with the potential to have some GI problems or have a bunch of food in my stomach. So I'd still get my calories in, but I might drink more of my calories than eat. I try to avoid fiber the day before a half, especially. Um, but yeah, I don't think that's about it. Taper, peak, lower volume, keep your intensity up if you've been doing intensity. Strides are great. A fartlek or a little tempo run on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I would maybe take off Friday, do a short fartlek on Saturday, and then race on Sunday. But yeah, mainly just go by feel. Tapers can be written into a plan, but you really gotta be mindful of how your body feels and make sure you're giving it time and opportunity to adapt and peak. So I very rarely run with music. I use music almost as like a tool, a motivation tool. So I very rarely run with music, but I will save it for the runs when I need a little bit of motivation, whether it's shitty weather and I just don't feel like going out and running. If it's a long run and I'm going to be out there for 2 or 3 hours, the music's going to help. If it's a hard run and I kind of need that Black Eyed Peas motivation, then I will save the music for these types of workouts. I don't use music for easy general runs. Going out for 30 or 60 minutes easy is easy, but I might need the extra motivation for the longer, harder sessions or when the weather's just not awesome. Hey, so you have a sore left Achilles, and with twinges or injuries like this, typically rest and giving it the time and the opportunity to regenerate is going to be the best thing for you. Cross training will help really preserve your aerobic fitness, and if you do a non-impact cross training like the elliptical, then hopefully it lets your foot, your calf heal. You could try warm, like rice pack alternating. You could use compression. Um, maybe some massage, but really giving it time and opportunity to rest is going to be key. Some turmeric ginger cream from Badger Balm, I think it's called, is kind of nice too. So, but mainly it's just giving it that opportunity to heal. Hey Lisa, so tight, sore hamstrings. You're asking for stretches, whatnot for them. And it's really important to consider that when something is tight and sore, it's tight and sore for a reason, and it's not because you're not doing stretching. What is almost always the case is a tight or sore muscle is tight or sore because it was overloaded and or not given enough time for regeneration and recovery. So the best rest or the best cure for that is going to be rest. Easy runs. Do some foam rolling, some light strength and mobility. Stretching it is flexibility is about relaxation, not stretching and lengthening. So stretching a tight muscle isn't going to help. You must let it relax. Hey, no doubt finding time to run for busy people can be the biggest challenge of running. And I work with a lot of athletes who they have regular jobs, families, soccer, baseball, basketball tournaments with their kids on the weekends, and they get up early. They run after work. They motivate me because they're really putting in the effort to be able to put in the effort to run. And some of them are running over their lunches. Some of them don't run on the weekends because they have small children and they can't leave them for an hour or two. So they do all their running over the lunch hour or after work on the weekdays. So for me, getting rid of the TV was the biggest way I save time. So there's often things you can do to find time here and there. I feel you, Ryan. It's tough to balance university, work, all that stuff. When I was in school, I got up earlier than I've ever gotten up in my life, and I did the training ASAP in the morning, and I find that typically classes are in the morning, so getting up early, getting a good training session in, and then going to class was usually left me pretty well off, like maybe better off in the morning for school than I would have been otherwise if I would have rolled out of bed a half hour before class started or whatever. But yeah, it's tough, but it's worth it. You just got to tell yourself that it's something you want to do, and you got to do it, and you got to know that it's worth it, and you'll be better off because you put in the work.